This segment is brought to you courtesy of Caribbean American Weekly, a newspaper owned and operated by Caribbean Americans. Read the latest edition at www.cawnyc.com. That's www.cawnyc.com. To like us on Facebook, to advertise or to subscribe, visit us at www.cawnyc.com. That's www.cawnyc.com. To advertise with the Caribbean American Weekly publication for freelance assignments to distribute at your business place, visit us at www.cawnyc.com. That's www.cawnyc.com. Or to meet a marketing representative at our office, call 718-771-0988. That's 718-771-0988. A very warm welcome to everyone. We are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Reginald H. Bowman, who is a senior member of the Citywide Council of NYCHA Presidents and also the chairman and president of Brooklyn East Council of NYCHA Residents. Welcome, sir. So good to have you.
Thank you very much for inviting me. Good day to you and all the audience.
It's our pleasure. So that's quite a bit of an introduction there. What exactly is it that you do in those positions?
The New York City Housing Authority is home to over 1 million people in public housing developments in the 5 boroughs. Each one of those developments has a representative, sort of like elected representative or a political representative, that represents them like a tenant association and other facilities. So what I am actually the head of the organization that all of those associations come under in Brooklyn, and I'm the senior member of the organization that represents all of the tenants or residents in public housing in the city of New York.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So we know that there have been quite a few issues with NYCHA. NYCHA residents have been experiencing a lot of issues. Chief of it is lead poisoning. Mm-hmm. How are you all addressing those concerns?
Well, a few years ago, we sued the New York City Housing Authority and the city of New York around lead issues, repairs, etc. And the outcome of that was that a federal monitor was put in charge of the New York City Housing Authority rather than to go into receivership. So at this point, the issues of lead and repairs and maintenance and management of the New York City Housing Authority are actually under the jurisdiction of an agreement that was made between the Housing Authority, HUD, and the City of New York to make sure that those issues were addressed. Unfortunately, being that this is a market where politics don't always follow and the solutions don't always follow the plan of the courts, New York City Housing Authority is still experiencing a great backlog in repairs, a great backlog in safety issues, and in some respects, you would say that the Housing Authority buildings are almost to a point where they could be condemned and demolished.
Oh, wow. That's going to displace quite a few bit of people.
Well, what the New York City Housing Authority has been facing is years of disinvestment. The federal government started cutting the budget of the New York City Housing Authority's subsidies more than 20 years ago. The state of New York abandoned their public housing, and the city of New York also abandoned their public housing and were no longer providing the financial safety net or support to make sure that those operating funds were in place and repair funds were in place. At this point, that's where the new legislation in the state of New York comes in. And recently, as recently as last week, the New York State and Senate and the New York State Assembly all passed a trust bill. The New York City Housing Authority trust bill that was just passed actually is creating a way for the New York City Housing Authority to raise the funds that it needs to finally deal with the backlog of $40 billion worth of repairs and maintenance and modernization and infrastructure work that needs to be done. So we're at a crossroads to a degree, because you have a community of over 500,000 to 1 million people living in developments that are in much need of infrastructure and modernization repairs. And we're at a point where the city and the state and the federal government have finally allowed us, the residents, to come up with a solution to these problems. Has that solved the problems? No, because that's all on paper. NYCHA still has a very serious management problem. They have a very serious maintenance and repair backlog, and that's why we've formed a solution to this problem, because in order for us as residents to really get the things that we need out of government, we have to form our own political action in order to succeed.
Okay, so let's talk about the blueprint for change. Is that part of, the solution to what's happening with NYCHA?
The blueprint for change was created by a collaboration between the Housing Authority and resident leadership in order for there to be practical solution and a strategic plan that was going to produce concrete results to address the needs for maintenance, repairs, and investment. At this point, the blueprint for change is primarily exactly that. It's a blueprint, because without there being money and investment and strategic plans to actually implement that change, the blueprint as it stands is something that is leaves a lot to be desired, because it doesn't deal with the day-to-day operations of the New York City Housing Authority and the management and maintenance things that need to be done day to day. But the blueprint is something that has been proposed to be a solution to the myriad of problems that are facing the New York City Housing Authority and its residents. For one, we're in downtown Brooklyn. When you look around downtown Brooklyn and you see the high rises going up and the investments in real estate that are going on day to day in the last decade, you don't recognize downtown Brooklyn. But the same investment that they're doing in private real estate development, they need to do the same type of investment in the public housing and the other low-income housing of the city of New York, so that they are also modernized and revitalized the way that we see the millions of dollars being poured into the private sector development in the city. So the blueprint is a good plan, and it has viable, practical solutions. However, it's time for the government and the stakeholders and the communities to put their money where their plan is and make it happen.
Okay, great. So, Mr. Bowman, we want to thank you so much for sharing this great information. And how can one find out, get more information?
Well, if you need to get more information about the blueprint and the plans for the New York City Housing Authority and the trust fund, you can look on the NYCHA website, which is NYCHA.gov. Or if you need to contact me, you can contact me on my phone by calling me at 917-600-1589, and I'll be more than willing to fill you in on all of the new things and the important information that is necessary to know about the next steps for the New York City Housing Authority. Also to be noted, we have a plan. I'm actually a resident of Ceflo Houses in Brownsville, and we have a plan called the Ceflo Houses Infrastructure Modernization Model Project, where we're going to be partnering with private investors and the government and NYCHA and the residents to have a resident-driven model program for redeveloping the development and reinvesting in the community in the modern times that we're in now, and to bring NYCHA into the 21st century so that we're a part of the same development that's going on in Brooklyn.
All right. So thank you so much, sir, and we look forward to having you back again to discuss new updates and information.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
You're so very welcome.